Leftist ABC hack George Stephanopoulos gets absolutely triggered after Byron Donalds dares to not play ball with Kamala Harris's stupid racial identity games. Guys, this is going to be a lot of fun. I know you're going to like it. This is probably one of the dumbest controversies we've had in recent times. As many of you probably know, the left-wing media is frothing at the mouth because Donald Trump questioned whether Kamala Harris is black or Indian. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, yo, you can't blame the guy. She's claimed both things for street cred. Whatever you want to call her, it doesn't matter. The point is, Kamala Harris only invokes these identities when it's convenient in order to boost her own political career, not because she actually gives a crap about either heritage, frankly. So we're gonna get right into it, guys. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But first, everybody, do me a big favor here, okay? Like our video, share it around, and if you're new, subscribe to the Resist the Mainstream YouTube channel so we can keep bringing you guys this great content. As always, everybody, I'm your host, Darian. Let's get into the clip.
Just bring in Republican Congressman and Trump ally Byron Donalds. Congressman, thank you for joining us this morning. Why is former President Trump questioning the Vice President's racial identity?
Well, first, George, in Chicago, he was responding to a question from, I believe, Rachel Scott. Like, this is really a phony controversy. I don't really care. Most people don't. But if we're going to be accurate, when Kamala Harris went into the United States Senate, it was AP that said she was the first Indian-American United States senator. It was actually played up a lot when she came into the Senate. Now she's running nationally. Obviously, the campaign has shifted. They're talking much more about her father's heritage and her black identity. It doesn't really matter. The president mentioned it. What he also talks about far more frequently is the fact that Kamala Harris is the person who created this massive inflation, which is destroying black families, white families, Hispanic families. It's her failure as border czar that has left our southern border wide open, more than 10 million illegal immigrants coming into our country, record fentanyl coming into our country, which has killed more Americans than at any other point in the history of our country with respect specifically to fentanyl, and the fact that she and Joe Biden have unleashed one of the worst foreign policies in the history of our country that has us on the verge of World War III. That is Kamala Harris's record. President Trump talks about that frequently, but yes, he did mention it in Chicago in response to a question from Rachel Scott.
And it isn't just AP. CNN wrote an article back in 2021 where they talked about if Kamala Harris should invoke her Indian heritage by wearing a sari during the White House inauguration. Yeah, I'm not kidding. Of course, back then, people like Stephanopoulos were sitting there complaining and whining about how it was so racist and terrible, and CNN is questioning her racial identity. It just goes to show you that people like Stephanopoulos are the most insincere, hypocritical people imaginable. And you shouldn't even engage with their nonsense, because at the end of the day, it's totally disingenuous, and they're just using it as a moral club to bash people on the head with. And it's so old and so tired and frankly stupid.
And you just repeated the slur again. If it doesn't matter, why do you all keep questioning her identity? She's always identified as a black woman. She is biracial. She has a Jamaican father and an Indian mother. She's always identified as both. Why are you questioning that?
Well, George, first of all, this is something that's actually a conversation throughout social media right now. There were a lot of people who are trying to figure this out. But again, that's a side issue, not the main issue. The main issue...
Sir, one second. You just did it. You just did it again.
Of the United States.
Why do you insist on questioning her racial identity?
You want me to talk?
I want you to answer my question.
George, now that you're done yelling at me, let me answer. He talked about it on the stage yesterday in Atlanta for, what, 2 minutes? He spent more than 35, 40 minutes going after her record, talking about how radical of a senator that she was. She was the most liberal senator in the United States, in the United States Senate. That is a fact. He talked about the job that she did as vice president of the United States, a job, I will add, which has been a failure for the American people. I know you guys like to glom on to this that he talks about in jest or in a serious manner for about a minute or so, but what you do not cover is the litany of failures of Kamala Harris. That's what you're not covering.
It's just such a stupid conversation, and George Stephanopoulos' fake outrage just makes it all the more irritating. George, let's put this in perspective here. You support and believe in a candidate who believes in child sex changes, not only legalizing those, but going after people legally because they don't want to do it to their own kids, in the case of divorced parents, for instance. Not only that, Kamala Harris also supports unaliving a baby the day before birth and after birth in a lot of cases. You can look at her voting record on that if If you don't believe me, it's in the congressional record. All that to say, for someone like George to sit here and give fake outrage about how evil and terrible the Orange Man is, or any of his supporters are, because they're questioning Kamala Harris's racial identity. I mean, seriously, just get lost, all right?
So questioning somebody's racial identity for a couple minutes is okay?
George, I'm going to tell you again, he brought it up. AP is the one that wrote the headline when she first came in to the United States Senate. Didn't talk about her being black, talked about her being the first Indian American senator. AP brought that up. I mean, George, we could have this conversation for the entire segment, but none of this matters to the American people. What matters to the American people is, are we going to have the same policies of the Biden-Harris administration that has been destructive of the American people, or are we going to have the policies of the Trump administration, which put America first, had low inflation, prosperous Americans, no matter your race, no matter your color, no matter your creed, and a foreign policy that kept America safe? Those are the facts that truly matter, because this issue is going to come and go. The lives of the American people is what's going to remain, and that's what matters more than anything else.
If it doesn't matter, I don't understand why you keep on repeating it, why the president keeps on repeating it, why those introducing the president yesterday
George,
keep on
actually,
repeating
I'm
it.
not the one who keeps repeating it. George, you're the one that's bringing it up now. That's you.
You've done it,
I understand why
sir.
you've done it.
You've done it 3 times. Every single answer
George,
you gave me. Now let me finish, sir.
George,
every single answer you gave, you repeated the slur.
Asked me, George. That's why I'm pushing back on you now.
This is a very common leftist gaslighting tactic that Stephanopoulos has just invoked. They bring up the topic, they're insanely incensed about it, then you pretty much defend yourself and explain why they're ridiculous, and they say, well, why are you so obsessed with it? Why do you keep talking about it? You're the one who talked about it. What are you even talking about? It really reminds me of this whole gender issue that the left is obsessed about, where they will viciously argue that you need to allow a man to be in a woman's bathroom, or even allow a man to play in women's sports and beat women up. Somehow that's okay, and you're a bigot for opposing it or something like that. They will sit here and tell us, why are you so obsessed about the issue? Why are you so obsessed with pronouns? And I'm just thinking, no, you're the one who's obsessed with pronouns. You won't shut up about it. You believe I shouldn't have the freedom of speech to point out that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. And somehow I'm the one who's obsessed? I'm the weirdo? No, doesn't work like that, buddy. Sorry.
George, you asked me the question 3 times. I responded, but I'm
and every single time you repeat the slur. That is exactly my point. You simply can't say that it's wrong.
George, so then what you're saying, and I want to get off this topic because it's not the only thing that's going on. But George, now you're saying that AP is the one that slurred Kamala Harris, because those are the facts. You can go to the internet and look at the clips, George, if you want to, or we can talk about this now. I prefer to talk about the future of our country, because the American people are struggling. The American people do need serious policy decisions to be made, and they need serious leadership on the world stage. Kamala Harris has not proven that she can do that. Donald J. Trump has proven that he can do that.
It's a little petty, but I kind of wish Byron said to George, hey, George, are you saying that being Indian is a slur? What's wrong with Indian people, huh? You have a problem with that? Is there something wrong with Kamala Harris being Indian? It'd just be kind of funny, but oh well, it is what it is. Obviously, it's a ridiculous conversation in the first place, and Donalds is totally right to say, dude, shut up. Let's talk about real issues like, inflation, the border, whatever else may come up. It's a pure distraction. They have no argument to make about Kamala Harris being a decent candidate or person, so they resort to the stupid garbage about, you're attacking her race. How dare you? We are such an unserious nation to be talking about this kind of thing. In what other country are people sitting there and arguing over such a stupid thing? Name one. I'm serious. I'll wait. Can't? Yeah. Figures. At the end of the day, people don't care about this stuff. This whole idea of a hyphen American, we don't have that in other countries, okay? African American, Cuban American, Korean American, whatever it might be. You don't see people in any other nation talking like that. The general mentality for nearly every country in the world, and especially for all of human history, has been, if you belong to this nation, you need to integrate with this nation and consider yourself a citizen. That's it. Nothing about, oh yeah, I actually belong somewhere else, split identities, blah, blah, blah. It's stupid. And as far as I'm concerned, it's un-American.
AP did not say that Kamala Harris is not black. She is biracial. She is Indian. She is black. You continue to repeat the fact that you continue to repeat the slur. I don't understand why you and the president do it, but it's clear you're not going to say that it's wrong. And you've now established that for our audience. Trump also said at the convention that he would pardon January 6 rioters.
Everybody look for themselves. Let's move on.
I've already said that. Go ahead.
On the internet, everybody. Let's move on. There we go.
So, go on and repeat the slurs again.
Ooh, he repeated the slurs again. How dare he question her racial identity? Does anybody take this seriously, guys? It's just, It's insane. We've become so silly as a country, but it is what it is. What can we do? With that being said, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. As always, please be sure to comment below. Let us know what you liked about the video, what kind of content you want to see in the future, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks, and God bless.